Welcome to episode 14 of Nexus Now, a Nexus gaming series podcast, bringing you news, stories, and personalities from the NGS community, as well as the greater Heroes of the Storm universe. Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
And you know, you guys, not just being the audience, being my co-host, Murda. How you doing, Murda?
Oh, thank you for the introduction, Ghost. Appreciate it. I'm doing
forgot
well.
your name.
And Jackster, my other co-host. How you doing?
I am as right as rain. I'm doing fantastic. It is actually swelteringly hot in Florida right now. I have the AC turned on as high as I can, but the outside does want to kill me. So if I drop dead in the middle of recording, you know
I'm glad
what
you
it
said
is.
that. I was just gonna say Florida wants to kill you. That's the one thing I've learned about Florida.
We accept it here. I mean,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know, it's hell's waiting room for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Murda's
let
in the
me.
same boat.
You guys have been on tenterhooks. I'm sure you're wondering who I am. I'm Ghost Dunk. I'm the third host of this podcast. Murda, what you got to say there, buddy?
I was going to say, it's been equally as hot here. I had to do an AC repair this week. Thank God, because mine was starting to die. And we're back up and fully operational, fam. Appreciate it.
So your girlfriend was like,
Oh,
You were
wait,
gonna
wait,
call-
wait.
Girlfriend,
Ghost
no.
"Whoa,
She's not a girlfriend
I'm
anymore.
so-
There's
you're
news
right.
here.
I am so sorry."
Murda is now engaged.
It is his
Beautiful.
fiance that we will be pulling Murda away from for these
Yeah.
2-hour long excursions.
Oh,
No,
don't
no,
worry.
Murda,
I
I
kicked
meant
her out for the
I meant your
afternoon.
girlfriend, Murda.
Oh, wait. Who's my new
No,
girlfriend?
I'm just kidding.
Oof.
It's me.
Okay.
No, I'm sure your fiance, was she like, you needed to call Sears? You said you were gonna call yesterday.
Yeah. She kind of was like, man, what's going on there? Your AC seems to be having issues. And I was
Looks like
"I
another
don't
scorcher."
know." Yeah, another scorcher for the whole week. But yeah,
None of you know what I'm talking about.
Now, if they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't.
Murda doesn't.
Okay.
Just the. Anyways,
Moving
this
on.
is I'm told that this is my show notes say that this is the 1-year anniversary of Nexus Now with 3 exclamation points, but it's not actually. I think it's a
little bit
bit
more.
more.
A little
we
extended from there.
I only started tracking the show notes after episode 3, which was, I think we have in our notes as like July 9th. So seeing as we're recording this on July 14th, we probably passed it a bit ways back, but better late than never. Okay, well, the other big important news that, you know, we should probably get over to talking about is season 7 just began last week. What do you guys think so far? I have a few things. Like, we can start off with like what our roles are specifically for this year or this season. My role has not specifically changed at all. I'm still the editor-in-chief, but I will be competing on a team in Division B, Winston Churchill Manatees, which will be a lot of fun. And then I have a bunch of new writers that I'll be working with, so hopefully I'll be giving them some shout-outs on this podcast as well as the season develops. Murda, Ghost, what are you guys going to be doing this season?
So right now, I'm obviously still a board member with NGS, loving all the new volunteers. The hiring committee did a ton of interviews. I know, Jax, you're involved with that, which is great. And there's so many new people involved now that it's another whole task of trying to organize everything. So I'm stepping in this season, trying to coordinate our creative team and our tech teams. Often they have a lot of things they're working on together and might not have the greatest lines of communication. So I'm going to try to facilitate some of that and help them out. Of course, I'm still doing the casting and one of my favorite things here on the podcast with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. That's really nice to hear. I'm going to be basically doing the same thing I do every season, which is cast maybe and play maybe. I'm on a team once bitten, thrice pie in NGS Division A, and we're going to be taking it as far as we can. So I'm going to be trying hard with that team. I've got myself a new casting studio I've set up in my apartment. I've just got it up and running. I'm giving it a test run with the Heroes Lounge. the podcast is going to come out after this happens, but I'm casting the Mythic and Legendary Cup Championships. So I'm excited to get this up and running. I've got a stream deck. I've got a whole bunch of new toys. So I'm very excited for that. And I'm excited to get back into casting. It's been a while.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. It's always fun to watch you guys stream.
Oh, thanks.
How about next we go over, because we have Murda here, and Murda is on the competition committee. Not only is he on the competition committee, but he is the competition committee.
You are the Brute Squad.
We have a rules update. Why don't you walk us through it, Murda? So I have like the list of the different changes that will be happening if you want to like go over them and like explain your reasoning, or just if we feel like it's worthy of talking about.
Sure, yeah.
But the biggest one is off-roster subs. So can you walk us through the thought process behind that? I know a lot of people were asking for it.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, off-roster subs have been one of those things in the past where teams often find themselves approaching a match the following day and realize they're not going to have enough players, might be struggling to figure out who they can add to their roster to play. We're trying to make that a bit easier this season. So now you have the opportunity, as long as you're 24 hours ahead of your match time, you can let your div mod know, you can let your opposing captain know, hey, we have a situation where we need someone to step in and play for our team. So now you have a way to do that. You just share your new player, your off-roster subs, hot slugs / heroes profile with the mod, with the opposing captain. And what they're going to be able to do is allow that player to play, which is fantastic for all of our teams involved. More matches will get played. And ultimately, more people at the end of the day are going to be happy with their experience in NGS.
Okay. Sounds good. And, you can continue.
Yeah, I mean, I can just run through a couple more of these changes if you want. And then anything I miss, maybe you help me.
Yep.
But I think the other big things that stand out to me is we added in a 10th map this season. A lot of people were calling for more maps in the NGS map pool, so we did exactly that. We took the same poll system that we used for Season 6, brought it over to Season 7. We had you guys once again vote for your favorite maps as captains when you were registering for Season 7. And we ended up getting the same 9 maps, with that one additional map being an old NGS map in the map pool. It was Braxis Holdout. So once again, you'll be able to play on Braxis again. The other change around maps we made, though, is now you have opportunity as a captain to ban out 2 maps before every single match. So what does this mean? Maybe you're a team who hates Braxis Holdout and you're not a fan of seeing it back in the map pool. Well, you can just ban it out and just use your other ban as you normally did last season. So a lot more opportunity now for diversity in maps we're seeing played, and I think a more opportunity for captains to help scout out their opponents as well and take away some of those maps they might prefer.
I like it too because it increases map diversity. So that means that if you're watching NGS, you're going to get to see more maps played. It's not just going to be both Diablo maps, Infernal Shrines, Battlefield, and Tomb, like the same few maps. So it's a lot more diversity and excitement.
Yeah, I think that was really the main goal of that rule change, was trying to see more maps getting played.
We'll see how it works out. I have listed here all divisions will use single elimination playoff brackets. So last season we had Heroic use a double elimination bracket. Now that was partly because of the size constraints of the division, but also because we wanted to try out and see if double elimination is supposed to be fairer in terms of allowing teams to like come back if they don't think, or if they got cheesed, or if they've learned from past games in the series, so that they can come back and win through the losers bracket. We're not doing that this season for any of the divisions. So why don't you walk us through the thought process behind that, Murda?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, this ended up just being difficulties with scheduling those matches, because whenever you want to crunch that bracket into the same time window that we're using for the rest of NGS, typically is that 4-week playoff system, trying to fit all those double elimination matches in, you actually end up with more, we'll call them like pseudo rounds, because you can't advance part of the bracket until the other bracket plays. So it's just doesn't play out as cleanly with our 4-week limitation of our playoffs. As much as we liked it, I think some teams really loved it. The ones who got to participate in the heroic division, it just ended up being a big challenge for casters, mods, and the captains of these teams trying to fit them in basically a 4-day window instead of a 7-day window for each pseudo round. So we would love to basically cater to the teams that want that double elimination. It's just very difficult given the landscape of kind of how NGS works and all the teams and captains and players involved.
Makes sense.
Very cool.
Only other things that I see are MMR changes, and I think we will get into that with a couple of our questions that we have later. So I think we can move straight into what are we looking forward to this season? Any teams, specific divisions? If you know that there are any upsets that have already happened, we've already seen 1 week's worth of play. So have at it. What do you guys think so far?
Well, Heroic League, if we're going to talk about like actual play, like Celeb Gaming lost a match already. They're one of the better teams, I think, in like, Division S and around. So the Heroic division seems pretty much up for grabs at this point. So that's exciting to watch.
Yeah, actually, specifically about Celeb, I heard that they had to pick up a new player. Of course, they lost Hunter last season towards the end of it. And I heard they just picked up a former friend, I guess always was a friend, but former player on the team, Smitty Werbin, back on the squad. So we'll see if that changes the landscape of the Heroic division at all.
Yeah. I mean, Smitty's a good player, though.
Yeah, an outstanding player.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, other than that, I'm mostly excited, like looking through all the divisions, I'm mostly excited to see how many returning teams that we have. Like we have, 96 teams in NGS, and so many of these people are coming back, which really speaks to this strength as a community and says to me that everyone's having fun.
Well, fun's the name of the game. They don't spell hops with an F-U and N for nothing.
Blizzard spells hots with an F-U.
Ooh. Too soon.
Yeah, too savage.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Div D. Div D is where all the fun teams are. You've got a lot of people I recognize, Clouded Minds, Luciodology, you've got awesome teams like, I think the Baddest Dudes have one of my favorite logos in all of NGS.
Yes.
It looks real. I was doing some work on it earlier to make a new article that we're going to be putting up on Monday, and it looks actually really good. I was surprised how professionally it looked done.
I got a shout out. If we're talking Division D right now, this is maybe my new favorite team name, Division D West, the Camino Saber Darts. If you're a Star Wars fan, you get the reference. If you're not, go home. Watch some Star Wars.
Actually, yeah, Div D, this is full of great team names. I think this says 3 of my favorite new team names. Randy Newman, Bloodbath and Beyond, which I'm mad I didn't think of that.
Fantastic.
That's a good one. It needs commas, though.
The logo's good, too. They did a great job with the logo.
Yeah, it's a really good logo. And then
they got the font and everything. Oh wow.
And then this is easily my favorite new team name. Yavapai County Youth Chess and Swim Team.
I believe that's actually formerly Sack of Bricks from season 6. At least most of the players from that team.
I wish I was that creative. I'd be able to come up with team names like that.
It's too good.
Always a fan of Backbone. I think there was some off-season controversy between them, and a battle really between the team Backbone and Wraithling, who runs the website, over special characters and how many and of what kind were allowed. It was ongoing. I see that we've limited them to 3 special characters.
Yes.
So
I mean, I've never seen a team name be Vaporwave before.
It's fantastic.
Yes. So let's see. Anything else you guys want to cover in Division?
I'm in Div A, so I'm excited about it.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like there's a lot of there's 7 regen teams in this division.
Oh my gosh.
He's calling you out, man.
I mean, Retro and Ghost are both in this division.
What happens when they play each other? Will you be like?
Oh, I've already reserved all casting rights to that match.
I
will actually remove another caster if they try to sign up for it.
The loser gets disowned from Regen. They have to drop the Regen name.
Yeah, actually, no, I told them they have to beat your team, Ghost.
It's like,
of course. But yeah, no.
Return of the Jedi style. It's like you're Emperor Palpatine. You're watching Luke fight Darth Vader. Yes.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I'm filling in for a season for One Spit and Thrice Pie, back in the off lane, baby, and we dropped a match to Gilly Shark. It was incredibly close. I think both games went the distance past 20s, and but yeah, I can't wait to play like some of these old teams that I recognize. Lion Speed, Sky 5. Can't wait to play all the regen teams. Screws. I think we had a scrim against.
Wholesome Halfwits as well, a nice returning team. Maybe not off to the start they wanted to, drop an 0-2 there, but I mean, this is a squad that has a lot of experience, and they did a lot of stuff outside of NGS as well, trying to build up as a team. So I'm excited to see what the Wholesome Halfwits have here in Division A too.
Didn't Wholesome Halfwits, they were Div D 2 seasons ago, if I want to say?
They were fairly low. They picked up a few pieces.
Yeah, and they kept winning, and that's like my go-to example of a team that just they stick together and they just continuously get better and they stick with it. If you ever feel like,
I was gonna say, if you recall, we actually had Dr. Jelly on the podcast.
Yeah, Dr. C Jelly. I remember. I believe it was after they won Division D versus what? It wasn't Tickle Me Tassadar. It was
maybe one of the
Divine?
One of the Tassadars.
Yeah, one of those Tassadar teams.
Why does Tassadar have the easiest team name besides Murky? I don't know. And also like Rewind is Ryokai's team. Ryokai's a really good player and very familiar with him. I'm clicking through all these profiles because I don't recognize most of these team names, but all these so many of these players is I recognize them like Team. Oh yeah, we played Team Happy Cloud when we were Ferrets, and that has a team neighbor named F Ferret on it, which was a lot of fun. So, but yeah, it's I'm really excited about that, and I'm also excited about some of these heroic division. I already mentioned this, but like specifically in heroic division, Nobo Esprouts, they're a really good team. They were Div A last season. Dread Pirates were also Div A. They've moved up the ranks very quickly. I know my boy Slithering One, I don't think has much time to play. He's officially on the team, but I think he's not going to get too many chances to play. But Dread Pirates is a really good team. And I think, did Amazing play last season?
They took at least one season. I think it was 2 seasons off. I don't know if they played season 5 either, but they are an old standing NGS squad, and happy to see them back. I think a few new players on the squad, but
in the top division too. But like they were NGS powerhouses.
Yeah, they were outstanding. Like old Division A, when we had Storm Heroic and A, they were leading the way up there in Division A, and
and of course my boy Moto Gaming, Savo bringing out his squad. King Dingo got Dingo and Zunicorn back on the team along with Hedgie and Roger. That's a good team.
Yeah, I actually smashed up against Roger the other day in Storm League. Had a little bit of fun.
Nice. Actually, not familiar with Roger. What's he play?
I want to say he was playing like an Alarak that game for some reason.
Oh, of course.
But yeah,
all these great players got to show off.
Yeah, I got history with a few guys in this team. Hedgie included. Actually used to coach Regen back in season 2. So really cool squad here Savo got put together. I'm excited for them as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be some good games from all the divisions.
Absolutely, I can't wait.
If we didn't mention your team, go watch Nexus Edge.
Yeah, they have the coverage. You know, we are mere mortals compared to them. They can cover every team.
And while we're here on the topic of Nexus Edge, I also want to shout out there are some amazing things going on with our volunteers, and there's some new shows coming in season 7. Nothing yet to reveal outside of soon TM, but there will be some more content.
Will you reveal it to us offline? Off stream?
All right, how about this?
I promise
I
won't
will
leak it.
say it is one of a very recognizable figure within the NGS community has stepped up and decided he wants to run a show of his own. You might know him as the Heel. Others might know him as Valkymer. but there's going to be a fun show coming from him. I'm excited about pretty soon.
Oh, cool.
Ooh,
Very cool.
very
I
fun.
was going to guess Squeaky Chickens, but yeah.
Okay.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something. It's gone. All right.
Oh, let's just move on.
And it's gone. Moving on, I think the next thing I have in my notes is the Chen rework, the long-awaited Chen rework. Let's get it out on the boards. I never really played Chen. Did you two play Chen? I mean, I played him enough to know like what his kit was and what his like problems were, but like never
No.
to the point where like I don't think we've ever had the level of discussion and theory crafting that happened after the Chen rework in the NGS Discord. If you were around that day, it must have been somewhere close to 500 messages
Wow.
in the NGS general. I know B-Train was a part of it, and it was just going back and forth about like, no, he wins this matchup now, and no, he loses this matchup. When the PTR happened, I was like, okay, guys, like, you do it. And the ironic thing is that it's funny how like all of these changes, and I mean, spoiler alert, I don't think that they've done anything to change him or his place like whatsoever. So that's kind of my take on it. Do you guys have a different take?
Well, my take is I only know anything about Chen post rework because my team is like, hey, Chen might be good. You should kind of spam him. So I have been spamming Chen. But before then, Chen was really like the only hero I didn't have a handle on. Once I started playing Rexar, it was like Chen and Rexar were like mysteries to me. And then I started playing Rexar and I got that. And then I've been playing new Chen, but I'm not sure how much it compares with the old Chen as far as some really like deep knowledge goes. He's very much oriented around his keg and fire, and weaving in auto attacks in between those two. Whereas before, I think it was that was how his like you'd usually play him, but it wasn't as built into his kit as it is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest, most notable change for those who haven't played is just how the new W works. They combined Keg Smash and Breath of Fire into one button now. It's like separate halves of the same ability. Now you throw your keg, it applies the slow, and if you want to light them on fire, you have to wait. What was 1.5 seconds, they just recently reduced to 1.25 seconds. We have to wait that little cooldown until you can cast your W again to do the fire. So it's a little different, and I think a lot of people that were old Chen mains aren't happy about that part of the kit, but maybe some of it they're more excited about than the old kit.
I mean, it's pretty clear from how it feels that you're supposed to do like an auto attack in between those two different things. Like it slows down your target so you can stick on them, and then you smack them with your stick, and then you set them on fire. So
Yeah, that's obviously what they're shooting for.
yeah, I mean, the other thing is that they've given you a little mini game with Chen's new E talent, which I believe
Stagger.
It's stagger. And basically it turns incoming damage into damage over time, which is a cool mechanic. And it reduces
it fits his kit.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing.
Oh,
I
it's
wouldn't
great.
like it on any other character because it seems a little bit silly. There's an item in League of Legends called Death Stance, which does a very similar thing. It like changes incoming damage into damage over time, and I really don't like it for how it works with a lot of melee heroes and their ability to heal off of it. But I think this works perfectly for Chen's kit because he doesn't do a crap ton of damage. He's a pest, and then if you ever want to like focus him, then he's like, oh, stagger. And then the most important part about it is he staggers all of the damage, and then he drinks his keg.
He drinks his
to get
problems
shielding,
away.
and all of the damage goes onto the shield, so he doesn't take any actual damage, which I think is a great mechanic as long as Chen isn't overpowered, which I don't think he is.
Yeah.
So
And
he's
not
not
to
gonna be
mention the
dominating
stagger
games.
ability itself, you're only going to be receiving 75% of the damage taken during that 3-second period, and it's going to extend that damage for 5 seconds, so you're essentially getting 25 armor every time you pop that too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like you said, like you drink your problems away, and you have to be careful not to, use it at the wrong time. Like if you're, if you've already been drinking and like you don't want to use it then. So it's a nice little mini game, and also gives some skill ceiling to hit the button at the best times when you're getting the most when you're getting focused. I think the only thing I don't like about Chen right now, and I'm a new Chen player, so I don't know if Storm, let's say Storm, Wind, and Fire.
Storm, Earth, and Fire.
I was casting the other day and made the same mistake. Don't worry.
It's that band. That's why I want to say that. Yeah. But I don't like that you can only cast each ability once. I don't think that's a fun mechanic for me personally. It takes a lot of, it splits them up into 3 parts, and I would love to control each part individually like you can with Brewmaster and Dota. That would have been really cool. It would have been like a nice little, skill element to that thing. But now you just kind of like click around and try and surround your enemy and hit buttons a bunch and auto attack. And I don't know. It's not fun. It's not for me.
Okay. I think I'm a little less. I mean, I think the biggest problem is that's just kind of the only ult to take. I don't think they fixed it so that the keg is like usable. I think they just gave it a bunch of armor, which we can talk about in the later patch note.
Yeah.
But I don't really think it's kind of usable when this is essentially the same problem that old Odin had for Tychus. It's another health bar. As long as you can get it off, it's another health bar. You can mitigate a lot of damage, and
that's true. But I mean, like for me, keg is kind of like it's not as good as Gust, but it's got incredible utility.
A good Chen that knows how to use it can get like easy picks on it, but I think the value of having another health bar is probably just too much for what Chen's role is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the best change that I like about this rework is the trait in that he can no longer like have 100% uptime on his keg, so you're not as reliant on interrupts. Whereas like before, if you were going against a Chen, you had no interrupts, you were gonna lose that game absolutely. And if you did have interrupts, then Chen was going to lose that game. Now it's a little bit more. Every second that you drink, you gain more value, but you can't drink as much.
Yeah.
And so the cooldown is increased to 7 seconds and the channel time reduced to 4. So there's a 3-second window where you can do damage to him, especially in the solo lane, which is really nice.
Yeah. I think his role in NGS and in competitive in general has really cemented him as, just an offlaner.
You can't play him. You can't play him maintain.
Oh no, God no. But like it's got a similar problem to Imperius, but with like no solution like Imperius does for wave clear, because Chen's wave clear is not fantastic.
It's better now, isn't it?
It's better. It's better for sure. But like all the other offlaners, even Imperius post level 7, kind of make him look like a doofus in the wave clear department. So it's but like you can win matchups, and then like his team fight is really good, and like I've been actually going the sort of bruiser build, which is based off of Eye of the Tiger and accumulating flames. So
basic attack build,
right. Basic attack build. So like you get your your keg and your flame onto people, and that gives you bonus attack damage, and then your level 16, basically anytime you drink or get shields, you get crazy amounts of attack speed. So if you can stick onto people and get a bunch of auto attacks off, and your stutter stepping is in, you're going to do a lot of damage with this build. And so that's what I've been experimenting with. I haven't experimented with any of the other builds to see if they're viable.
Yeah, let me quickly mention Storm Stout Secret Recipe at level 1. Those of you who used to play Chen know that used to be a level 20 talent. It even got buffed originally.
That was a trap. It was a trap talent.
It got buffed when they moved a level 20 talent to level 1 and made it stronger. So it was 2% of Chen's maximum health. Pick. And then in the latest patch notes, which we're about to talk about, but I will mention this now while we're on topic of Chen, is they upped that heal amount from 2% now to 2.5%. And I still don't think it's enough. Everyone I've been hearing who's been playing it is still like, it's just a waste. Don't take it. Like all the other level 1 talents are going to get you more value throughout the game than you're ever going to get from Storm Stout Secret Recipe. Why is that so hard?
It needs to be every time you like attack them or like put a DOT on them, so like your flame can heal you. Like that's what it needs to be, because right now he doesn't throw abilities out that much, and he has like a hard cap on how many abilities he can throw out. It's not like Li Ming where she can throw out a million Qs. Well, Chen can only throw out, he can jump to people, he can smash them with a barrel, he can light them on fire, and then maybe jump to them again before he has to drink. So there's like, I don't think it's very good at all.
Yeah, you do the math, it's 7.5% of Chen's health back every time he goes through his cycle, which I think it's like a 4 or 5 second cooldown, and I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah, especially when basic attacks against brew-soaked enemy heroes deal 50% more damage and heal Chen for 50% of the damage done. If you want to heal, take that talent.
Yeah,
well, you're discounting the fact that you could be hitting multiple targets with your keg smash, with your breath of fire.
Yeah, but you only ever jump to one person on Chen. So he's really a solo type of person. Like you're never going to. Chen is not a 1v4 type of hero. You're never going to 1v4 people. He's always a 1v1 god. His job is to. There's a Vala in the offlane that's trying to get some soak, and Chen just chases her down, and like you can't get away. So
quick question though, is it per hero hit?
Yeah, it's per hero hit.
Okay,
yeah,
so I think they're intending that to be a 1v4, like, I go in and I smash, and all of a sudden I get this huge health
It's still
boost.
not good.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, according to the website I'm looking at, this was added in September 27th of 2016 as a level 20 talent, and it just reads, heal for 1.5% of your maximum health every time your basic abilities hit an enemy hero. Of course, I mentioned that's been increased to 2.5% now, and it's a level 1 talent. And I'm telling you, here on Nexus Now, still not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, Chen always had this problem with. They did this also with Purifying Brew. Remember, that was a level 20 talent, and they moved it to level 7 and buffed it, and people still didn't take it. And then they buffed it again, and people still didn't take it. And then with this final rework, they moved it into I think another talent, so that it gives like spell armor and whatnot.
Yeah,
so,
and if you're looking for a way to think about it, I think. Imagine Chen does go in, he gets so many of these procs off of Storm Stout, and he's just healing, and they're trying to like focus him, and he's getting all these heals. You can imagine that might be good, except for the fact that what's Chen doing in there? Like, he's not getting any work done without the Eye of the Tiger, like or the some of these other abilities. Like, Chen's not really doing much in the back line. There's no reason to focus him at that point.
True.
Yeah. Okay, that it for Chen? We want to move on to the other patch notes we have?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so these are the July 10th notes. Murder, you want to start us off with the tanks? Nubarak?
Sure, yeah.
Blizzard's new favorite punching bag.
Well, I think Nubarak obviously has been so strong. Season 6 was the season of Nubarak. Pretty much almost every match had a Nubarak in some form. So starting to hit against the W here, Hardened Carapace going to go up 1 second in the cooldown from 6 to 7. And then they also had a cooldown reduction on Epicenter at level 16 from 1.25.
Third time they've done this.
Yeah.
It used to be 2 seconds, then it was 1.75, then it was 1.5, and now it's... No, it was 2, then it was 1.5, then it was 1.25, and now it's 1.
I think the important part here is Blizzard is happy with the Nubarak. They just want to kind of fine tune it a little bit.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
just taking his numbers.
I wouldn't expect any wholesale changes to a Nubarak anytime soon.
And people are still picking it. People are still banning it out. I mean, Cocoon. Yeah. I think the meta is at a point where fights are faster than they used to be. You're not getting big, long, sustained battles, and so that makes Cocoon so much better in value.
Yeah. As long as you can, because it's a CC, it's you're removing someone from the fight for a good time.
Next up is ETC. Did change the cooldown on Guitar Solo. That's your E from 8 to 9 seconds, and they changed a level 1 talent, Guitar Hero, and that's going to increase your healing now to 60%. Used to be 40%. I think basically you read the developer comment here. They're talking about how ETC is actually playing very well. They're happy with his win rate. He's the highest win rate in the game as a warrior. And his popularity is just getting higher and higher. So they're trying to mitigate some of that before any more big issues might pop up with ETC and just being too prevalent in the meta, especially when you see a tank like a Nubrak trying to be notched down a bit.
ETC is such a weird hero because he's been in this iteration for a while now where they reworked him, and over the course of his new form, he's gone from like the best tank to like the worst tank to like back being the best tank. Like every other season, like it'll be like, oh, ETC is so undertuned, and then the next season it'll be like, oh, ETC is like amazing. I've always held that like ETC is amazing because his stun push is the greatest CC ability in the game.
Oh yeah.
And then Mosh Pit is one of, I argue, the best ult. You guys say it's Void Prism, but I say it's Mosh Pit just for the amount of value that it can bring. But like you look at his notes, I'm looking through them. It's like he hasn't really been changed all that much since his rework. You know, a couple points here, a couple points, armor increase from 20 to 25, health increase from 2180 to 2250. It's like, but it's nothing major. I think it's a perception issue with him. I think it's people think he's not good, so they don't play him, so his win rate goes down. And then, oh, ETC is really good, you know, his win rate goes up, people start playing him, they realize how good he is. I don't think there's anything that Blizzard can do to affect that.
My theory on the matter is that it's a sustain versus burst meta issue, and I think ETC really suffers in sustain. Like people can just focus ETC down. He just doesn't have enough healing, and like if you can't blow somebody up quickly, ETC probably isn't the tank for you. And you know, and also exceptions with, you know, in cases where you can land mosh pits and people don't have interrupts. So yeah, I think that's just sort of why he keeps going from good to bad is based off of how everyone else is playing and however all the other characters are.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with ETC. I'll allude back to an article Jax and I were talking about before we started recording today, about the heroes and how they relate to skill caps and skill ceilings. And I think ETC is one of those warriors that he's pretty easy to pick up and play. He's very intuitive at first glance, compared to a tank maybe like Garrosh, who's a little bit more difficult for a newer player or someone newer to the hero to just pick up and play. I think that ease of hopping into mixed with the relatively low cost to acquire the hero to begin with. A lot of newer players play him, been in their hero pool for a while, and have relied on ETC for maybe years as their choice at the warrior position. And he hasn't really had any huge changes from that initial release of his, that he's just a popular guy, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would say the reason that I don't think Mosh is the best heroic is because it can be interrupted.
Yeah, that's why I say I put like a caveat of it has the potential to be the best ult in the game.
Yeah.
So it's like if it, in the right circumstances, it can single-handedly win a fight.
I had a friend that came in from Dota and was playing Heroes for the first time. They'd never seen ETC, and they did a mosh pit and they got stunned. And they're like, "What is this alt? Are you kidding?"
It's horrible. God.
And they're coming from a Dota player, you know?
Yeah. Mal'Ganis, Q cooldown reduced from 9 to 8. Doesn't actually look like a lot, but trust me, for someone who plays Mal'Ganis, that's actually really big. Yeah, more heals, more interrupts. Yeah.
I got to listen to Fan this week. He was doing his own patch review, so shout out to Fan for this. But he thinks that now Mal'Ganis will be moving from an acceptable tank to somewhere between that range and a really good tank. He thinks Mal'Ganis tank is acceptable now at a minimum.
Mal'Ganis has always been my pub stomping tank. Like honestly, ETC, he needs follow up from his team to get value on. Nubrak needs follow up from his team. It's like Mal'Ganis doesn't need follow up from his team. Once you hit blind as a bat and your ults, like you're able to pretty much stay in the enemy team, like as long as they clump up and they 3-4 man, like they can't kill you and you're just healing off them. You're not doing a crap ton of damage, but that 3% at level 7, like that's gonna wear him down eventually. And blind as a bat is good value, and like he can really put some pressure on a backline. So I always like going to Mal'Ganis. People have been saying for the past few months that he's been on the weaker side, and I felt that a little bit, especially after all the nerfs, but he still feels like he can 1v3 a backline.
Yeah, I haven't I am unclear on where Mal'Ganis sits because I have not seen teams play him. Nobody is bringing out the Mal'Ganis tank as an option, and so I feel like in the competitive world, everyone's kind of confused about what to do with him. Jax, you gonna bring him out?
Mal'Ganis, I play support for my team, so I'm worthless. Don't worry about it. If I can convince them to let me play Mal'Ganis, like, I'll do it. I'll show you my thing. Everyone else like has horrible luck with blind as a bat, but I am apparently just a god at predictions because I always like just stay right on top of them. I don't know if it's just dumb luck or not.
Well, hey, let's put a challenge out to our NGS listeners. If you are a tank player on an NGS team and you're listening to this right now, we're requesting you play Mal'Ganis. And if you do, take a highlight of your match, send it to us, and we're going to give you a shout out on the next episode.
Guaranteed. There you go. I like it.
Okay, Artanis. None of these changes do anything, which is really shame.
I disagree. I think shield battery.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm actually going to kill you. Get off the phone right now. This talent has been buffed 4 times, and it's always worthless. It's always worthless. I've gotten into so many arguments with people. Oh, it's better than Shield Surge now. It's never better than Shield Surge. It's never, ever, ever better than Shield Surge. People always try and do the math, and it's always wrong. Okay, don't do this to me, Ghost.
Here's the niche though. It's not good on its own, but combined with the spell power reduction, I think it can be good against spell power heavy teams.
Okay, that's a new argument I haven't heard before. And yes, that spell power talent is, or the spell armor talent is really good at keeping your shields up, especially if you're going against like really mage heavy teams. But for everyone else, like the reason why this talent isn't good, for people who don't know what it does, it as long as your shield is up, it reduces the cooldown of your next shield. But the problem is this talent hasn't been good since the rework of Artanis, when they nerfed his shield health, and they nerfed when it triggers, or they buffed when it triggers. They moved it from 50% to 75%, but they nerfed the shield health. And well, because of that, your shield just isn't up that often. And so like, yes, if the shield lasts like 4 or 5 seconds, and so if it lasts the entire 5 seconds, you're getting something like, well, now it would be like 6 or 7 seconds off of the cooldown. But the problem is with Artanis, like, you are never going to have the shield last that duration. So what Ghost is talking about is with the spell armor, you might actually get full value out of it. I still don't think so, especially since like every team has at least one auto attacker.
Yeah.
But like, I've had this conversation so many times, and a shield surge is 75% bigger shield.
Oh, it's very good.
It's like, it's not just really good, like it is what makes him an early game monster in lane. Like if I'm playing Sonya into Artanis, like I can beat him levels 1 through 4, but once he hits shield surge, I will never actually be able to break the shield.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
There is one more Artanis buff that I am waiting for before this developer comment, my buffs for ire, is complete. Yeah. Amateur opponent baseline. What are your thoughts on that coming to the game eventually?
I mean, it's a must pick.
Oh, is it coming? Do you know?
I'm asking, what are your thoughts on the potential of it eventually coming? Do you think it warrants a move to the permanent, like this is part of the character, it's so ingrained in his kit, everyone picks it, let's just make it part of his base kit? What are your thoughts on that and potentially that happening?
It's no crazier than giving Tyrande like a base owl quest. You know?
I mean, I think, yeah, it's in the same level as, what was it? Anubarak having spell armor built into his shield.
Yeah, I mean, everyone takes amateur opponent. I actually don't think it's like the best choice, like all the time. Like seasoned marksman is actually sometimes pretty good, and even block is pretty good sometimes. Amateur opponent is only good if like you can get value merc wise.
I don't even think it's mercs. I think it's because it's non-heroes, it's structures, it's push, it's wave clear. I mean,
if they leave you alone, like you can get some mad value. Like if say you get a kill or they are slow to rotate for the first wave, like you can take half of a tower's health. But like, so it's really good in like pub games, but I don't think it's very good in like B and up levels. Like people are going to respond to you. You're not going to get that good of value. It's like kind of a win harder talent if the towers are already down and you're whacking the fort.
I mean, it's not just about like solo pushing on a fort. It's about just having wave clear in general, which is why I think it is good in pubs. But I think, if you don't pick it, like Artanis's wave clear drops dramatically. And with it though, he can handle himself in a wave.
I mean, you rely on your Q to do most of the wave clear. I mean,
Yep.
you can either wave clearing as Artanis is you can either Q the wave once and then wait 7 seconds and Q it again when your Q is back up, or you could go around using twin blades on every like minion, like trying to kill them that way. I don't think it's much faster, to be honest.
I think it's.
I don't think it makes that much of a deal. I think the main thing is structures, bosses, and mercenaries. I think that's the biggest reason you want to take it. And I mean, again, you're giving off the damage of seasoned marksman. So amateur opponent doesn't help you 1 iota in fights at all.
Oh, yeah.
The seasoned marksman does, with every auto. If you get that thing stacked to 40 bonus damage, that's every auto you're doing 40 bonus damage. You take triple strike, you're doing 120 bonus damage over the length of the ability. Chalk in follow through as well. Chalk in the attack speed at 16 if you want to do that, and that will stack quite a bit. And I know it's not the highest pick rate or the highest win rate right now, but say you're on a map like Alterac Pass, like it's not really. I don't think it's that much value to go amateur opponent. There's only like 2 merc camps to take in the game. Like you're not going to sneak a boss. Like it's good to clear the opponent's what are they, the bosses, or not bosses, but the prison, the guys that come down, like the Chargers.
Pass. You mean?
Yeah, Alterac Pass.
The
Prison
guards.
No, not the guards, but like the cavalry that actually
comes.
The cavalry that actually comes down. So it's good to clear that, but I always have like a firm opposition to hedging your bets and like I'm playing to be on the back foot. It's like that's never a way you should play the game. So
okay, so maybe ultimately my question was, would you like to see it as level 1? Maybe your answer is yes, because you don't pick it and you'd get a little extra use if you had it anyway.
Well, they would nerf it like quite a bit. They would.
Sure.
It's 150% right now. They would nerf it probably to like 50 or 75% because
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, and then it would just be like a little bit better wave clear. I'm surprised they haven't nerfed it already because it's kind of broken on, Battlefield of Eternity. It's kind of broken on Cursed Hollow, and you can just take camps like so easily. I don't know why they haven't nerfed it before or given it baseline. It seems like it should be baseline because it's either really good or really not.
All right, so let's keep
Moving
our
on.
patch note discussion moving. We obviously spent a considerable amount of time on Chen already, so we'll skip over him, and that leads us into the next hero. It's Imperius, and he got a lot of changes in this patch. Most notably,
Yeah.
like some of his trait now is going to be a little bit different. Consuming a mark is going to heal you for 70, and your damage bonus is now reduced from 30 to 20, but I think they did a lot in the rest of the kit to help compensate for that. Jax, anything standing out to you?
Not really. I don't think he's any good anymore.
Okay,
Sorry.
Ghost Dunk, anything stand out to you? Because I know you played Imperius, Ghost Dunk. I was trying to help out Jax there before
No,
Ghost just
it's
took
just
it.
like the blow to Imperius that they made is that they made his mana cost prohibitively high when they nerfed his E, and so now they're like giving him like base healing. Well, you're still gonna take Battle Hunger at 4, absolutely. I don't think Sovereign Armor is as good. 1.5 seconds for 25 armor, like I don't think that's very good, and so. Like the healing just isn't there, and the mana cost, if you want to actually sustain in lane, like I would just pick Sonya. Like I don't know, I don't see them being like any value to it. They're trying to make the other talents like viable, and like the other talents like at level 1, the first enemy hero hit with Solarian Flare also restores 30 mana. Well, you're giving up percent damage, like you have to take percent damage at 1, and so you're gonna have mana problems. And so it's like, okay, so you can actually be a hero that like competes in the off lane. But you don't have mana, or you can take this talent and you can have mana, but you're not going to be a hero in the offlane. So it's like, I'm bummed. I really liked the first iteration of Imperius, but apparently they didn't like how he was being played, and now he's just meh. I would pick a whole lot of other soul laners before I would take him.
I haven't actually tried him, unfortunately, but looking at the numbers, I think if you want to do a press forward Imperius, which is where it will refresh the duration of a regen globe if you hit an enemy hero. I think that gives you a lot of opportunities to to work on point control maps like Dragonshire or Brax's Holdout. I think like another thing you can get out of this is using Imperius to push people out of XP, which is how I was using Imperius in the solo lane in a lot of matchups.
But with this damage nerf, like I don't think he does that much damage anymore.
I mean, that's
still does percent damage, but
yeah,
like,
I mean that could be true, and I'd hate to see like how the calculations change as far as trading out in terms of healing, but getting that healing at level 1 also changes things a bit too.
It's 70, which is like all right, but it's not amazing. And if you're taking the Regen Globe talent, like it's not going to be really at all that much. The reason why Imperius dropped off is because, and this is the whole reason, is because when he released, you would press E on a tank and say I'm Sonya on top point and Ghost is Imperius, and he presses E and he's autoing me. It's like if I'm spinning on him, if I'm autoing him, it doesn't matter if I took Warpaint, block, anything. It's like I cannot out heal that damage that percent damage from level 1 is doing in combination with the heal at 4 and the mark damage. Okay, I can't out heal that. But what happened is that Blizzard upped the mana cost by 50% on that E, so that what everyone was doing is they were pairing it with the 13 and 16 talents that would reduce the cooldown of your E when you hit people. And so like if you keep reducing the cooldown, it's 75 mana for this ability that's on like a 7-second cooldown. It's like you are going to run out of mana very fast. And so now if I'm a Sonya, my mentality is completely shifted. I'm just going to trade his mana. I'm just going to soak it like old Morales style, and then I'm just going to go in when he has no mana. So that's why he's not good. And I don't think that any of these changes changes it. They nerfed Holy Fervor again. The new 20 talents aren't that good.
Now, see, the nerf is something. The 5-second cooldown is sucks.
It used to be 18.
Yeah, it used to be 18, but now it's 30 seconds.
And you could pre-proc it.
However, though, the cooldown does begin after the first attack instead of the last. So,
that's a good quality of life change.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of times you'd be like, don't leave wave if you have like one more, like auto the towers or something. Yeah.
And the max duration too. So if like, you don't hit it all, like it just goes away and you can hit it again. At a certain point, so you're not going to be stuck in that last hit forever.
Yeah, we'll see where he ends up playing, and if Heroes like will do it or whatnot. Oh, well.
I mean that I think people like laughed at the stun, but I think Imperius stun is super impactful in team fights.
Honestly, the best use cases for Imperius, like right now, I've been seeing is like kind of double frontline tank, like just rotating, like ETC Imperius. It's like Imperius gets the stun. And then ETC slides and backs, like no squishy can survive that kind of CC. So
yeah, we used to run
the best. Play him like as a flex or something.
Yeah, we used to run Imperius as a main tank on Brax's Holdout in the Ferret's days.
I don't know. He's not, because he doesn't have any like follow up. So like I think that's why you kind of need like an ETC or maybe like an Alarak. If you had like a Imperius Alarak, like that might be a really good comp because Imperius gets the stun and that person's dead.
It was Imperius, Genji, Medivh. That was our 3-man rotating comp. In Brax's Holdout.
Yeah, you could get some picks with that.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably more of Genji than anything.
Yeah.
Sonya, health buff. This was a pleasant surprise. A welcome surprise for sure.
I like Sonya too.
I love Sonya. Sonya is always going to be my favorite hero. And I don't know what they're talking about. She's been out of the meta in recent months. Like, have you guys noticed that? Because she's always in the meta in my heart.
I will say she's certainly
If you're a good Sonya, you can... If you're a good Sonya, you can play her in any meta and against any other hero. I don't disagree
with that. But like in terms of seeing her picked and like pick rates, and especially in regards to NGS pick rates, it's been low. It hasn't been what it used to be at all. So I'm kind of excited. I read their comment here. They say they like the talent tree, no outstanding issues. I agree. Just give her a little bit of health. We'll see how it does.
There are some issues. The fact that W build is a meme. That's a pretty big issue. They're still trying to like push it on people. It's like, But oh well. It's just like all of the W talents are trap talents for her.
You'd see Koreans run it in a niche situation.
Do Koreans play this game anymore?
Oh God!
How many grandmasters are there? How many Korean grandmasters are there?
I was using past tense.
Yeah, that's what I thought. URL, Hand of Freedom. This was already the greatest talent on that tier, so they're just buffing it and making it like usable on URL. So that is the only talent that you should be taking on URL at level 4, like at all. If you're taking anything else, you're a Dumbo. It's as simple as that.
We're not raising our listeners to be Dumbos.
We're not. We do not support Dumbos on this podcast. You have to be smart. W build white main, Hand of Freedom URL. That's how we do it.
I cast the Legendary Cup, and there was a team, they just kept playing Urel, and she was actually like a beast in that matchup.
That new one talent that the heal gets increased if you hit multiple heroes with your Q, like that's actually really good, like scary good. Like it'll be 1,000 heal at level 20.
Yeah.
And they buffed Aldor Peacekeeper. Like, was that not a talent that people took? Like, that's what I always took. So, I don't know. Blizzard, you confound me sometimes.
I'm excited.
They actually did something to maybe bring her back in line eventually. But W build is still like the only thing that you take on Anna, and I still think she's really good.
You know, and let me pause here on Anna for a sec, because the one thing we haven't talked about yet that was probably the biggest change in this patch was the movement speed increase, and I think we're finally getting to a hero where it's going to matter. Anna,
do you want to save that, because that was one of the questions that we had in the question section.
I know, but like if we're talking about Anna, I think it's important.
Okay,
because you're talking about movement speed. You're talking about a healer that relies solely on healing people with abilities. So you have your skill shot Q, you got your skill shot, easier, but it's a skill shot, a W with the grenade. It's a lot harder to shoot people with those healing darts now. I'm hearing reports from people within Regen org and stuff, like it's tougher to play. It's not that they don't want to play it or that it's not viable, just that it's significantly harder. And will that be enough of a deterrent from some support players in NGS from wanting to pick up this hero in their competitive matches? I don't know yet.
They were tired of nerfing Anna, so they just buffed everybody else.
Get good. Get good.
How many times have they buffed the E talents and nerfed the W talents? Like, I can't believe that somebody at Blizzard thought that like E-build was actually going to be a thing. As like, we tricked them on release into thinking that we actually liked the Pierce E talents, but like nobody told them that the only reason we took Pierce on E was because it gave you Pierce on Q. Yeah. So like they made W build like viable, and they were like, oh my god, thank God we actually have talents that we can pick that like mean things on Anna. So
I mean, it's
it's just a joke at this point. I mean,
yeah. As far as movement speed goes, like what it's really gonna do is change the macro of the game. It's going to make rotations where they used to be. I mean, if you look at the game pre-mount changes, like that, actually the mount nerf actually changed the game significantly, not because mounting was so much slower than like it compared to walking, but because it made the map smaller. Now the map made the map bigger. Now the map is made smaller. You can rotate a lot more, and I'm seeing teams having really good effect, playing a far more rotational style than they were previously.
Next up, who I think is now the #1 S tier support in the game, Anduin. Not too much changed here, but I think with just everything that's gone on, especially just talking about those Ana changes where she was previously seen as #1, I think Anduin moves into that slot. Go ahead and disagree with me.
Yeah, I think I would say #2. I think as far as competitive goes, you have to think about people that are good at what they do, and even with the speed increase, good Anas are still going to hit their shots. I don't think it's really going to change there. It's going to change if you're in a situation where people aren't necessarily as mechanically gifted as the top players. So yeah, I think that's going to raise Anduin's stock for sure, and I think he's first pick worthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot to say about it, They
buffed the Q. That's what the change was at level 7.
They just buffed the Q.
He's good. He's a good hero.
Well, that's the self-heal. Like, when you heal somebody else, it heals you, which is like, this is okay. All of those talents at 7 are just kind of like, they're just nice things to have, but I don't think they, like, change his kit in any meaningful way.
And then the last healer, that got a change was Rhaegar. A few optimizations.
I actually love Rhaegar right now. Like he's so fun to play.
This is what
you
I was
just go
about to
W
say.
build.
I think he moves up as well now to probably like tier 1, not S tier, but like tier 1. I think he's up there.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
like what he used to be, like a solid support, like versatile. Like he's got cleanse, he's got self ancestral, yeah, and he's got that lightning bond at 16. It's like that will, if you have another person to dive with you, like even just at like a tank like Murden, like you shred through people like old Rhaegar used to do, and that was like such a great change. I'll give Blizzard a lot of credit for that change because that was such a great change. It comes late in the game, so it's like it's not balance game breaking, and they give him back like the shield goes on himself as well, and they both benefit from it. So if you're diving as a team, then it's better. Like I love that change. These changes, they don't do anything. Q-Build really isn't a thing anymore.
I mean, you have more mana now. That's a significant reduction on the mana at level 13 with tidal waves.
So think about it. So, I mean, if you wanted to go heal build, then you would go Spirit Walker's Grace at 4, because it would reduce some mana, and then like the cooldown reduction at 13 would actually like you wouldn't just run out of mana. So what would you take nowadays at 4? You could take Totemic Projection, which is a meme, but yeah, you'd probably take either the mana and health back when you're in Feral Wolf. That's what it's called, Feral form or something.
Yep.
Where you get health and mana back when you're in wolf form, or you would go
healing
totem. Just like, yeah, if you want more heals. I don't know. Shield build is just way too much fun. It's just like you have infinite mana, you have infinite clear. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it gives you the most ability to do some stuff with helping with mercs and shit like that. So,
yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Medivh.
Yeah, this
You
is
get
just
changed
more
a little bit. I like this, and I'll quickly say this because it's going to allow the skilled Medivh players to kind of flex a little bit more. That buff at level 7 to Mystic Assault, your damage and healing bonuses increase from 40 to 50% of damage dealt. That's nice. I think that little change helps a bit.
What, instead of shield explodes? Like you would take that?
I mean, there's potential that you might want to take it now.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
Yeah,
if you're landing a bunch of Qs, maybe you're up against something like a Samuro that's like
it's not
always
the
in
Qs
there.
that heal you. It's the autos that heal you. You hit someone with the Q and then your auto is empowered. And
Right. But
you get health back.
If you have the targets to hit with the Q and you're one of those guys who keeps that Q chain going, I think it's great value.
Yeah, I do think the explosion talent is a little bit overrated. Because of the olden days where it could just like one shot a team. But maybe. I just always think that's kind of like a trap talent. Like, the healing isn't that good and the damage isn't that good. But over time, like what you were saying, if you can land those Qs consistently and you're like chasing people down, like it'll end up being a lot. The level 20 talents though, I always liked Arcane Brilliance. By the way, like if you didn't need the wave clear of the insta clear, like that was actually a pretty decent talent. Dusk of Disappearance though is the greatest meme talent in the entire game right now. I'm calling it like right now. It's like give invisibility to your teammates. Wait,
Funny. I'm just reading this. So when you put Dusk of Disappearance on your team now, they're gonna be stealth for 40 seconds.
40 seconds. But they can't do anything.
What do you mean? Doesn't matter. You just go wherever you want to go. It's like
that's the meme. That's
Juice
the meme.
Pirates 2.0, and you just teleport in with a portal wherever the heck you want to be.
Yeah.
Huh.
I always put, if I ever play Medivh and like I take it as a meme, it's just like I give it to a person and then they immediately attack a minion and it's like, oh well.
All right, challenge to NGS listeners again. And this
take that talent and win a game, and we will actually shout you out on the podcast.
I won't even shout you out. I'll invite you to the show, the whole team.
Tell us what it's like to break the game.
I would like to see it become like a Dota-like thing where it's like, okay, we're going to get in, we're going to smoke up. But in Dota, like you're actually invisible. And in Heroes, you're not actually invisible if people can see you. However,
if it was true invisibility, like it used to be, it used to actually be like somewhat of a niche talent when true invisibility was true invisibility. But ever since they completely gutted invisibility, like it's just kind of meh.
I think what you can do, I think it's very good if like you're against a team, it's like a big map and like you're on the map and all of a sudden you disappear up and like you're not where you're expected to be. Like they're trying to look for you, and maybe like, you know, you're actually in a wave, but they don't see you because you're not on the mini map. And then maybe they're expecting you to be in a bush and you come behind them. You know, you can do crazy stuff like that, but I think it's very, very niche, and it's at 20. So it's not really going to, you know, come into play as often.
And it comes at a time in the game where we all know it's the most important time of the game.
Yeah.
So if you get that big play, often in Heroes of the Storm, in the new way the game really plays out, and it's been this way for a while now, is you get the 20, you win the 20 fight, and you win the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong? So if you can bring a talent that's going to help you win that final battle fight, and it's Dust of Disappearance, so be it. If you can pull it and you can win with it, do it.
And invisibility does help in that, like, it's really easy to see people in invisibility, but it's not easy to see who it is. So if you do see like some of your team, it's like, oh, like, how are they positioned? I have no idea how to engage on this. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know. That just seems a little silly, but Illidan, they gave Reflexive Block another increased block because I think Nimble Defender was too good. And then, or no, it was the increased heal at 7. That was too good. And then Fiery Brand, they buffed that again. And Blades of Azeroth, you still take dive. Oh well. But I do agree with their dev comments. It's just like, if you give a small buff to him, like, he can just actually become a god for a season. So, like, I think he's fine where he is right now. Like, he's like tier 3. A lot of CC in the game that can wreck him up, but in the right hands and in the right team, like, he can demolish.
The most fun is Rapid Chase now at level 4. You get a little extra movement speed. It lasts longer as well, 50% longer. And
you still go range.
I tend to disagree. Have you tried the new Illidan with the Rapid Chase? It's fun. You're so fast, right? Because the movement speed coupled with the new 10% that they added in globally on this patch, the Illidan's so fast. Like, you're supersonic. You always have it up. Hitting Illidan with anything is so hard. You still have your E to get in and out when you start taking damage. I think Rapid Chase is great. I think just go straight Q build now and have some fun. The block at level 7 gets an extra stack now too. Every time you use your Q, that'll help up against some of those heroes that have the slower auto attacks. And then when you get there's a Fiery Brand at level 16, a little bit stronger. And yeah, I just think Illidan's great. I don't know what else to tell you.
In conclusion, Illidan is the greatest hero.
Not the greatest, but I think I don't think he'll ever be back in until they do big changes. In terms of like seeing him in matches all the time, it's just not going to happen until they do some big stuff.
It's a niche play style, to say the least.
It is.
Okay, Maiev. This really doesn't change anything, I don't think.
Armor reduction.
I mean,
why?
Yeah,
she's already good.
Well, I mean, but people didn't take Bonds of Corruption. I mean, auto attack build really fell out of favor as soon as they kept nerfing her into Oblivion, and so now people just like Q and Q and Q and Q. So, yeah. Valera. Actually, I haven't looked too closely at these notes. Oh yeah, they buffed Fatal Finesse. I always like that talent. And Thistle Tea. Nothing mind-blowing. The Initiate range at 4 is actually pretty interesting. You get 15% move speed, which actually allows you to like stick on to people, because the biggest problem with Valera early on in the game is you don't have enough energy to do your entire combo. You can only do a 2-point combo at that point, because your Q, say if you ease someone, you garrote them, that's 30 energy, and then you W, Blade Fury them, that's 40, and then if you dash into them, that's another 30 energy. You still need another 30 energy to use your Eviscerate, and you only have 100, so this movement speed will at least let you keep up with them until you get that 30 max back, and then you can stab them. So, maybe. I'll try it out. Zeratul. Ghost, do you want to take this one? You're the resident Zeratul expert.
I'm really not, but
I mean, the one thing you
It's
have to mention
theory crafting.
is wormhole.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that matters
absolutely.
in this whole thing.
as Falendrith, Observer Extraordinaire, put it, like, hey, now I can hit Polymorph on a Zeratul who's coming in.
Yeah.
To
Have you
pick up the
ever
team.
played against a Zeratul, a Q-build Zeratul with Wormhole that has like macros enabled, so that they have a macro that they will blink, Q, and then blink back in the frame of like a couple frames.
Wow, that's
so
crazy.
Like in the blink of a second. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Like people will set up like macros. Like I've played against that before. It's like so you can never actually interrupt them or anything. It's just like instantaneous. It's like AoE damage. It's like a Kael'thas Flame Strike, but it's instantaneous. And so yeah, no, it's not fun. And this is, I know the Zeratul mains are going to be upset, but this is kind of a necessary change. I feel like it's either this or they remove Wormhole. To be honest,
I mean, at the end of the day, like that is a big deal for removing Wormhole. I think, clever Zeratul players might be able to figure out how to get damage out in different ways. Maybe there's a different build, but nothing changes the fact that Void Prison is so good all the time.
I'll jump in there. The new way I've seen players, Zeratul players doing this is they're taking Seeker in the dark.
Yep.
You got to land the Singularity Spike, and then it acts as that pseudo wormhole now. That's the only way to. It's the only way to do what you wanted to do before, except now it requires skill. And I like that the devs are realizing a little too easy to play Zeratul previously. Now add that little skill challenge there, land the Singularity Spike. You can still go in and do the same combo, but yeah, I like the trade-off.
Okay, Falstad, quality of life changes to talents that nobody ever took. I mean, some people took updraft, mostly, but it's, you go E-talent live on Falstad, man. What are you thinking? You're thinking, oh, I'm scared. I don't want auto people. I just want to throw out my Q and run away. It's like, come on, be a man.
Well, kitty cat or not, I do like the buffs they added in on the Q, although Secret Weapon was just never taken.
Not since... Now that's a talent I haven't heard in a long, long time. 2015 times.
Crippling Hammer, it was the one at 16, the cooldown reduction. I think it's still the way to go, but if you need the slows, maybe you have an ace in the hole Rainer with you. I don't know what it is. Crippling Hammer a little bit slower. It's never a bad thing. I just don't know if it's still worth taking now or not.
That's what you went with auto attack build, and it's like auto attack build on Falstad. It's like, yeah, what year are you living in? You either go Thunder Chicken build or you go Boomerang build.
Thunder Chicken's actually my favorite right now.
Yeah, it's annoying as hell, but you can get it stacked. Like, you're a real threat.
It's fun because a lot of heroes who would imagine they trade well against you towards the end of the game, when you get those bribe stacks through and your W gets stronger and stronger and stronger, like some of these heroes just can't come close to you, and then you just attach your lightning bond on them and they're done. Like how?
Yeah, like Malthael or something. It's like, yeah,
you just can't get within his range, and if you get that range increase as well, that's really tough to enter a team fight without some sort of game plan.
Yeah. Greymane, basic attack damage increased.
I
damage
had opportunity. This is the one hero I really spammed after this patch.
Yeah, how strong is he?
So basic attack damage increase from 140 to 148 on the surface doesn't sound like a lot, but he has pretty decent attack speed. And when he gets in Worgen form and you have that inner beast up, it's magnified even further.
And scaling, and then Executioner.
This is a great change. Couple it in with the Cursed Bullet buff from 35 to 40%, and I think Greymane's back, baby.
Define great, because like it's not great for the people he's going against, but it's great for Greymane if he wants more playtime. I always thought Greymane was like tier 3, tier 2, so like this is putting him back up there.
I think the one biggest thing we talked about the last time he had big changes was his Merc clearing and taking camps was reduced so significantly that it was really tough for him to kind of still fit in that spot on a comp. I think this change to the attack damage helps him get back in there. I was taking a Bruiser camp at level 3. He's definitely able to do it now. And once you hit level 10 and you get a little bit of a combo with your Cursed Bullet and Dark Flight in and swipe away, get the kill. Great. Oh, man, I love Greymane. I think he's one of the most fun and ultimately the most versatile assassin in the game.
He's rewarding for people.
I'm wondering if that maybe is going to bring offlane Greymane back.
Yeah, I tried that as well. Well, now you also get a buff at level 7 on the Q. It does a little bit more damage now. I think that's when you complete the quest. Or no, per stack. Sorry, every stack
that's
it
per
goes
stack.
up.
So 15 times 5 is 90. So 90 extra damage once you complete it.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Fisto. Fisto was a flash in the pan, wasn't he? And you guys remember, like, Fisto was out for the month after he got released. He was everywhere, and then they nerfed him, and then we haven't heard anything from him ever again. Except
legendary
unless you get
Cup.
like a pentakill.
No, legendary Cup.
Yeah.
Faimu Row. They played him 2 maps, and he was a beast.
Yeah, if you have a good Fisto player, like they can wreck the enemy team.
I actually saw Mephisto play in NGS last week. I don't remember
Really?
what team it is. If you're listening and you know, let us know. But I saw Mephisto come out and drop a quad kill. I think I want to say it was bottom lane Dragonshire.
With his ult?
No, just Qs, man.
Oh, just regular. Oh,
or
wow.
I guess the W.
Impressive.
What's the Lightning Nova?
It's the ring.
It's
W.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mephisto players are good when they are good, just like Kel'Thuzad. I said this before. I think if you can play those mages well, you bring such a cool element to your team that other teams are worried about. And in NGS, that makes a huge difference in helping your captain win drafts.
Yep. Orphea? I mean, I think the dev comment says it all. Combination of ancestral strength and fright is both powerful and currently too attractive compared to other options, so we're beefing up alternatives to promote Orphea's other playstyles. I don't think they do anything.
Well, here's the
thing. Am I wrong?
Here's the thing. On point, your level 1 Q talent, it does get buffed. So we talked about this with Ana. Movement speed.
Oh,
you gotta hit your Qs as Orphea if you want to survive. If you miss Qs and you're in the enemy's face, you are now stuck. You are now dead. So
might as well bend over. Yeah.
If you can't hit your skill shots with this movement speed increase, be very careful selecting Orphea now, because if you miss those Qs, you're gonna die. End of story.
Ghost, you got anything to add?
Not on that.
Okay. Well, last one is Vala. Its health increased from 1273 to 1340, which is so thankful for the people who just like spam her in QM like myself, where she's about as tanky as a wet piece of paper. You know, you go into like, I think Lunara has 600 more health, like at level 1, like to put it into comparison. And the reason is because her late game is just so strong, you know, whether she go Q build or W build or even auto build. We don't go auto build. We don't endorse auto build.
Yeah,
here.
let's talk about Q build though, because now at level 16, Seething Hatred, when you're at 10 stacks of Hatred, you get 15% spell power. Combo that with the Q build, and Vala can do a little bit more burst with that now.
Yeah, it's to compete with the W talent at 16, because if you were going Q build before, what you would go is Q at 1, Q at 4, Q at 13, and Q at 7. But then you would go W at 16 because it would slow people down so that you could guarantee hit your Qs.
And you get the
whereas
range
this is
too.
the range increase as well. Whereas this is the case, like you need to auto something 5 times and then do your combo. I don't think it'll be good because again, like the benefits of Q build Vala is just you come in from a flank and like there's their Ana and you Q, roll forward, Q again, W them, and then you go into ult form, strafe, and you're able to take that Ana down to 0% health.
Yeah, don't forget to
and
auto.
So that's the benefit. Remove Sergeant Hammer from ARAM. You should have done this like 2 years ago. Like, I would have honestly rather them just stuck to the guns and be like, nah, screw you guys. Like, we like Hammer. I mean,
all Hammer.
Was she even that big of a problem anymore?
I play a lot of Brawl.
Orbital?
I play a lot of Brawl, and I think the sentiment every time Hammer was presented to a player, they almost felt obligated to pick her. That's not fun.
Yeah,
it's not about the BFG. That was just like a little spicy cherry on the cake of just.
There's a lot of heroes that are like that in ARAM though. Like if you're balancing ARAM around, like League is doing this now with it, like they're reducing the damage of certain heroes that are just like way too pokey on ARAM. So it's like Chromie kind of breaks ARAM, Hammer breaks ARAM, Junkrat breaks ARAM.
Oh, Junkie. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Alarak kind of breaks ARAM because he can get his quest stones like super easy. Zarya, she can't single-handedly win a game, but I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, no, there are a lot of heroes that just kind of break ARAM that you kind of have to take. Kael'thas kind of breaks ARAM because you can never. Ragnaros kind of breaks ARAM. Like
Mephisto too. We talked about him.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. I think that for ARAM they should kind of just nerf all mages damage by like 25%, and I think that would be really good.
Mm-hmm. The last most important change I see left here, outside of this Hanamura Temple Swordsman Mercenary Camp respawn timer being increased by 30 seconds. I think the more notable one here at the bottom, the mercenaries, the Impaler mercenaries rather, their basic attack damage just got increased by 15. That means if you're leaving them in a lane unattended during an objective push, those things are going to do a lot more damage now.
Are those the goats?
They're the
those
goats.
are the goats. Yep.
The Khazra
camps.
Okay,
but yeah,
well,
it's before the goats did nothing, and now they do something. So I like it.
They've buffed them like twice before, and they still haven't been any good. Yeah, no, they've buffed them before. I think they used to do a lot less.
Yeah,
Well,
we're gonna see if they do something. But before this buff, they definitely were like, they're there.
Yeah, they're worthless. Yeah, agreed.
They were nice if you could capture your enemy's camp and then get vision of their well. Because then the goats would attack it. They would attack
that, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about on like Infernal Shrines. You take the enemy goats and whatnot, and that's actually really annoying. I wish they'd fix that because that seems like a bug almost. That like they're autoing them from over the wall.
I'm interested to see how they do up against the Shaman camps on Battlefield of Eternity when they clash in lane. Who wins that matchup now?
I bet shamans still do because the wolves just take all the damage from the shamans, and then he just spawns more shamans, or the shaman just spawns more wolves, and so like they can never do anything. Shamans. I mean, the best thing about the goats is that they outrange towers. So, but like it's not like siege giants on Cursed Hollow. Like you take Cursed Hollow siege giants when you're on the other side of the map, like that'll take a fort. It's like goats will not. Mm-hmm. Goats just don't do any damage. Like maybe this will help. Okay. You want to move on to the questions that we had? I think we had a few. Okay. Starting off, Turd Herder. This is probably one directed at you, Ghost Dunk. Are the proposed visible MMR changes in line with what each of you expected?
I can't believe they're doing it. Like,
yeah. Do you have the link that I pulled up? The Storm League season delay.
Yeah.
They don't mention too much, but what they say is visible direct MMR to rank point mapping.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean that's nice. It means that, you can tell somebody's MMR in Storm League based off of their rank now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Based off the link, it doesn't mean that they're going to show us like QM MMR. I assume.
No.
Yeah.
I imagine it would just be ranked.
It's just fine. But like, that's the next question here is what effects will this have on the game? But for NGS, I think on the game, it's going to lead to less complaining because you're going to, or at least it's going to lead to more
different complaining.
It's going to lead to more accurate complaining is what I'll say. Yes. Is that, my MMR is such and such. And like, I won this game and, I looked at everybody's profile and these numbers don't seem to add up or something. But like, my guess is that most of the complaints is going to be clueless people saying, "Oh, why didn't I get enough points?" So that's as far as.
But you're always going to have those people.
Of course. And I think, but for NGS, I think it's huge because what a lot of people are saying is, "Oh, you're basing rankings and placements off of a dead website." AKA HOTS logs.
Well, we're not doing that anymore because HOTS logs doesn't really work anymore. But like to everyone who is like complaining about like us using heroes profile to like base your rankings on, like what else would you rather us do? Like just like put your names on a dartboard and like throw darts at it? Like Celeb Gaming is now in Div C. It's like we're using the best information that we have. We don't have a secret access to like Blizzard data that lets us choose. Like, we're using what's available to us, and Heroes Profile is the pretty much the only accurate metric that we have available right now until these things come live, that these visible MMRs that Blizzard is promising us. So it's like, I don't know what you're talking about when you're complaining about it. Yeah, you're like, oh crap, Heroes Profile, like I think they're really wrong, and we'll be like, oh yeah, that sucks, but it's all we have right now, and so like it's what we're gonna have to go off of.
Yeah, so like in the future, I think you can weigh somebody's their Storm League rank as part of setting up a team placement.
Yeah. Yep.
And the last question from Turd Herder: are you planning on going to BlizzCon? What kind of presents, if any, do you think HOTS have at BlizzCon this year? Now, I think we talked a little bit earlier in the year about like what we were expecting BlizzCon would be like if they were ever going to talk about HOTS. But I don't know if I ever followed up on you in particular, Ghost, on whether you are going to BlizzCon.
It's up in the air. I'm leaning no for now. I still have my hotel reservations, but I was not able to get any tickets during the initial thing, which means I'd have to go to the secondary market, and I'm like spending money on a lot of other different stuff this year, so I'm leaning no, especially because I feel like the Heroes of the Storm stuff is going to be very minimal and kind of depressing.
Yeah, that was my exact reasoning as well. Is like, I think last year after BlizzCon, I was so bummed out that I couldn't go with you guys, and like we couldn't do like a podcast there. And then right after that happened, like they announced that they were going to kill HGC and then just dump support for the game, really. And I was like, oh well, I don't really want to go to BlizzCon and see them just like have one booth for HOTS like about like game and art design, not to put down the people who do game and art because they do great work, but like, and just like ignore like what's happened to the game and not answer any accountability questions for like what's happened. So I didn't feel like doing that. That would have been really depressing. So
yeah.
And my take on it this year would be that obviously the main stage that was dedicated to HOTS won't be there.
Yeah.
Are you going, Murda?
I'm not attending this year.
Okay.
I also think the playtest area, which in the past has been a pretty good sized playtest area, I think that's also going to be reduced to about 50% of its old size. They have to make room for other stuff. You don't know what might be announced this year at BlizzCon. It could be a new game, and they want that huge stage dedicated to it. Maybe they want a big play area, test area dedicated to it. We just don't know. But I wouldn't expect outside of one or two panels. One would be like the main panel and maybe a separate one for the art and stuff. I wouldn't expect much more than that.
Yeah. They don't have the schedule published yet, do they?
No.
But
it's crazy because the Heroes of the Storm playtest line has always been really good. Like Overwatch is more, but it's hugely popular compared to a lot of the other testings that they got. Like, you want to play World of Warcraft, walk right in. You want to play Heroes of the Storm, you got to wait.
Okay, because we're running over, and I don't know how long this is going to be. We always run over those. So.
We hit the patch notes is what happened.
Yeah, Valkamir has some more questions for us. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. How have bans developed in the first week of double bans? And we can kind of lead into the second question. It's just how many times was Brax's holdout banned? I think he's played. He was hinting at the fact that like, not a lot of people like Braxis. And looking at the data from the survey that we sent out to find what will be the 10 maps in, like support for Braxis was like half of what like Infernal Shrines was. So just in my own personal experience and like watching games, and I assume Murda and Ghost streaming games, you can back me up on this. Like Braxis has seen quite a lot of hate from the banning department, and after that it probably goes to something like Sky Temple or Alterac Pass for the second most banned maps, I would say.
I mean, Brax's holdout is always been even with the changes, I think is definitely such a draft dependent map. So if you're not really sure what's, if you aren't solid on what your Braxis holdout strategy is, you don't want to play that map because you will get stomped by a team that is confident on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to bring heroes like Genji. You can get little boss cheese with them. Muradin and Nubarak as tanks. They can hop over those mid walls and rotate quickly. There's just some heroes on Braxis that do a much better job in their role than the others. And if you know who those heroes are and you can draft them and put them on your side, you're going to win Braxis more so than often. Not to mention, it's a very early map. Like, you need to win early objectives. And if you lose them, it's so tough to climb back in on Braxis. So heroes like Varian, for example, who's not even a hero until level 4, you just don't pick him ever on Braxis Holdout, in my opinion.
Agreed. And that kind of answers his next question, which was, what do you think the state means? Obviously, it means that a lot of teams are not prepared to make a draft for Braxis, and they're not prepared to maybe counter some cheese that's going to get thrown their way. You know, it's just how it works. And maybe if it gets more play, then people will start developing comps for it. You know, are there further impacts you see coming from this? Any further impacts that you guys see? Mike, I don't know if we go back to 9 maps over 10.
No, hey, man, NGS is going to stick with the 10 maps we like so far. What we've seen with the 2 bans, I think that's been popular.
Yeah, 10 maps with 2 bans is really fair because, let me say that again. I hit my mic. 10 maps with 2 bans is really fair because the problem with so many maps is that you can't practice everything. But if you get 2 bans, you'd be like, okay, we don't ever play these 2 maps.
Yeah, and of course, in the future, we're always going to be doing a new poll each season. So if captains decide they really don't like Braxis, you just got to band together. Reach out to the other captains and say, don't vote for Braxis next season. There's no rule against that.
Yeah. Bribe some people. I was actually thinking about that, like bribe people to like do Haunted Mines instead, because I don't know if we included Haunted Mines on the survey, but I'm gonna put that in.
It's not even in the game anymore. They took it out of the game.
Oh, they took it out of custom games too. It was so broken. Oh, yeah. It's like, F in the chat for everybody who always tried to convince you that Haunted Mines was a good map and that like nothing was wrong with it, and like they reworked it. I mean, how could it be bad? They reworked it, you know, and then they removed it. Those people have fallen eerily silent. Okay, Ghost.
With Valkymer's last question,
yes, I'm getting ready.
Sorry.
What implications of the movement speed change do you see inside of NGS? Now, I'm putting a 10-minute timer on this because I feel like this is something that we could talk about for like another hour. So I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock and like we'll say our piece about it. And we'll move on from there.
I'm trying to think about how to keep it simple. Basically, the movement speed stuff is going to bring back certain talents. You're going to see Wolf's Run from Rhaegar, I think, maybe at a higher level. It's going to make stuff like with heroes that can't mount, it's going to change their calculation a little bit. I think, stuff like Murky might be better because, it's faster for him to run back from his egg. But all that stuff is really small and very nitpicky and probably not going to have a huge impact on NGS. What is going to have a huge impact is rotations. Rotations are going to be a big deal. Games are going to be faster paced for teams that can control the pace of games. You're going to see teams being able to do things like we can invade more often, we can rotate between lanes more often, control that space. We can, get at the enemy team and just control the pace of the game. And I think I saw that, in the Legendary Cup, and I think that's what you're going to see the impact be of this.
Yeah, effectively, death timers become shorter because your walk back from the Hall of Storms is going to be a little bit quicker. Maybe subtract 2 or 3 seconds from any death timer you see now. It's just going to be that much quicker in the future. And then, obviously the biggest thing is skill shots, landing skill shots, and which heroes really live or die on those. We mentioned Orphea and Ana today. I think those are 2 really important ones to keep an eye on because they rely so much on their Qs. But yeah, outside of those couple things, like the skill shots and death timers and rotations, I don't think it's that big of a change, honestly. Maybe I'm wrong. I think
it's a huge change macro wise.
Yeah.
Yes, macro wise, but micro wise, I don't think it's as big as people say.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Ana and Hanzo are a little tougher to hit, but
yeah,
I think because it's like just a 10% flat increase for everybody, like I don't think like one hero necessarily gains an up on another. Not in any major way.
Here was a question
No
I
hero's
posed to some
yeah.
friends earlier this week when I saw this. Why not just increase the game speed by 10%? So all the other interactions aren't breaking, but you're still making the game overall a bit more challenging for everyone.
Because that's not what they wanted to do.
Yeah, what was their goal? What did they say in the patches?
If they wanted to make the games just faster, they wouldn't just increase the game speed. But I think they wanted to make it. What it does, movement speed does, is it makes the map smaller and it makes skill shots like quote unquote smaller.
Do you think it would be warranted to add in 10% on projectile speed as well? Heroes like Li Ming, for example, with magic missiles, or maybe it's insert any auto attack, projectiles 10% faster. Do you think that changes anything?
Reading back at it, Ghost, they don't say that they don't subscribe to your belief. They, if they wanted to make the game snappier, which is what they said, while this is a modest increase, we feel like it makes the game feel a bit snappier, especially while in combat. I mean, you can do that just by increasing the game speed. Like, you don't have to increase just the movement.
Yeah, but I think that they're making they're kind of abbreviating their reasoning. I think they're simplifying it to be like, oh, it's snappier. That it's such a vague word.
Mm-hmm. Just grasping at air, Yeah.
Just trying to explain something. Yeah.
I don't know what their goal is. I don't know what they think will come of this.
Jax, on the whole, favorable change or unfavorable change in your opinion?
Well, I always hated that change that they did to mount speed, where they moved it from 140% speed to 130% speed. So this gives back 140% speed on mounts, which I like. But in general, I think it's just like a neutral change. Like, I don't think it does very much. Like what you guys were saying, like it buffs some heroes and it nerfs some others, and what they're gonna do is they're just gonna balance it. If Hanzo drops 5 points or Chromie drops 5 points, like, they're gonna buff them in exchange, and maybe they buff projectile speed, maybe they buff damage. So it's like, if you hit it, then you're that much more rewarding. I don't know. I don't think this is like a massively negative change.
I don't think good or bad change.
I don't think you can assign good or bad to it. It's just different. The game's different.
Look at this politician.
The game's it's just different. If you like it, it's all up to your personal preference. Like, if you like it, then you like it. If you don't like it, I don't see how to objectively score this. I personally like it. I think it's allows you to do more with like rotational stuff, which I think is always a lot more fun. If teams were still incentivized to play AFK style, which is still the superior macro, it would actually improve AFK style. Like, it would not improve it, but like it make it even stronger.
How so?
Because your 2-man team that's going around getting all the camps, that they can move around a lot faster.
Oh, I was thinking like if someone's just AFK split pushing like QM style, like you can respond to them a lot faster now.
Oh no, I mean
I thought it would be a nerf.
I mean the AFK style of just sitting behind
the degenerate style.
Yeah, the degenerate style. Yeah, it would actually improve the degenerate strategy. But personally, the only thing I've really, besides the macro, like in individual mechanical skill, it's like stuff like Nazebo zombie walls. I have to adjust my calculations on not getting trapped in those.
I'm going to agree with you on everything. I love the change. And the reason I like it, it's kind of similar to what happened with the support changes, those big changes we got a couple years ago now, where like basically every support was nerfed because the double support meta was way too prevalent. Totally different conversation if the double support meta is almost back. Maybe next episode of the podcast. But I think in a similar vein, these changes, what they do is it raises the skill cap just a bit. Of course, I alluded to the like hitting skill shots, hitting all those sorts of things, and the movement speed, and how much you can do as like an Illidan with that rapid chase now at level 1, or was that level 4 rather? There's so many things. There's so many things you can do now that's going to raise the skill cap, raise the better players to become even better than they were, and I think that part makes me get excited.
Well put. So that sounds like a good place to end it.
So who wants to send us out of Pod 14?
I will do it. I volunteer as tribute. So, if you want to support the podcast and NGS in general, you can always become a patron at patreon.com/Heroes Nexus Gaming Series. We have a lot of cool swag that Mongoose has so carefully put together, and we're actually going to be shipping to Canada soon too. So if you are a Canadian listener who has been hesitant about signing up for the Patreon because you wouldn't get any of the rewards, we are in the works to get Canadian shipping soon. So stay tuned for that. Where can you reach everybody? Ghost?
You can reach Ghost Dunk. That's me at twitch.tv/GhostDunk, where I will be casting NGS. I'm also doing speedrunning these days. My main game is Shadowgate now, but I'm going to be branching out soon. And you can check me out at twitter.com/IlluminatedWax.
And hey, I'm Murda. You can find me on Twitch at MurdaRG, as well on Twitter. Currently streaming, of course, NGS matches, but in my free time, I've been enjoying Super Mario Maker 2 on the Nintendo Switch. My buddy's been coming over. We've been playing a bit.
Nice.
A lot of fun.
Nice.
I have sold so many. Oh, for those who don't know, I just started working at Best Buy as a sales consultant, and you would not believe that is probably our most popular game by far. In terms of selling it, so a lot of people coming in to get Super Mario Maker 2. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, thanks for listening. And now, you know what? It just occurred to me. I was thinking about Smithel the other day, and it was just like the ocean under the moon. It's kind of the same as the emotions I get from you. Cause you got the kind of loving that can be so smooth, yeah. Give me your heart and make it real, or else forget about it.
It's getting better every episode, I feel. Bye, everyone.
See ya.